All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Hold on a second, it's a little weird. Got two, got two YouTube streams running. I don't know what happened there. All right. I don't know why I have two YouTube streams running. My apologies. Anyway, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProCharge EV. Good. All right, appreciate y'all for being here with us. Hopefully today is a much better day. Yesterday was terrible. You're having to relive LSU's historic loss and the Saints' just ineptitude. Hopefully we got a better day today. So move onward and upward. New week, LSU 6.5 point favorite on the road at Missouri, and let's see. Excuse me. And the Saints hit the road to play New England. I can't imagine New England isn't any less than a 3-point favorite in this game. Let's see. Patriots 1.5. I cannot believe the line is that low. Goes to show you how much confidence they have in the Saints defense and how little confidence they have in New England's offense. But anyway. Okay, so anywho, let's say some good mornings. LSU adds Pete Jenkins. I know that that had kind of broken yesterday or Sunday night, and so we talked about it a little yesterday. But yesterday was mostly we were talking about the Bucs and the Saints and recapping that. So I like the decision to add Coach Pete. We did text yesterday a little bit. Coach Pete and I did, and he's pretty fired up. I went back and listened to the interview I did with Coach Pete back in May, and for those that aren't familiar, so Pete Jenkins, who is, roundly considered the greatest defensive line coach ever. He's 82 years old, stints in college and the NFL, and still to this day in the spring, coaches all over the country, college coaches, have Coach Pete come in to work with their players and sort of tutor their staff. He sent me his schedule, 82 years old, whenever we talked back in May. So he went to LSU, Bama, Georgia, Auburn, Kentucky, believe he said South Carolina, Oklahoma, Oregon. Anyway, point is, his tentacles reach far and wide in college football. So the other thing that I really like about the decision is, and I was reminded of this when I went back and listened to Coach Pete's, the interview from May. We played this cut on AFR yesterday, but Coach Pete knows Matt House well. They're from the same school. They've worked together in the past. And so, Coach Pete said point blank, Matt House is a really smart football coach, a really good football coach. And one of the things he talked about was some of the turnover on the defensive line coaching staff and how maybe Jamar Cain, and this isn't a knock on Jamar, by the way, in any way, but Jamar and Matt maybe didn't see eye to eye on how scheme, strategy, things should be taught, whatever. That's fine. But continuity on staff matters. And so moving on to Jimmy Lindsay, who had been coached with Matt House in the past, it seemed like it was going to be a good thing. And then obviously, unfortunately, Coach Lindsay had a very severe medical episode at the start of fall camp. And then John Jancic moved into that role, and John's had decades of success as a defensive coach. As Brian Kelly said yesterday, though, was never solely focused on defensive line. So, maybe bringing Pete Jenkins in will help with some continuity. So, I think it's a good thing. The point I made yesterday is what could it possibly hurt? I mean, your defense right now is really struggling. So if you get a chance to bring in Coach Pete and tutor a little bit, maybe improve some technique and improve that defensive line. That'd be a great thing. So, all right, let's say some good mornings here. You don't know the drill, fire away. If you're on YouTube there, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, please like the Matt Scone page, share the post. Tony Williams, Debbie Jenkins, Bubba Smith, Buddy Bond, Jason Horn. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Charlie Cavell, Bruce Parker. Hope we can somewhat restore our manhood this Saturday. Brant Roban, getting tired of the excuse these players need to play better. Inexperienced and can't tackle. Why are they at this level of football when the stuff is implemented in Pee Wee football? You know, Brent, I think there's a long, complicated answer to that question. It goes in part to, what football practice has become, as so much of practice is taking full contact out of practice. And it becomes harder to tackle full speed when you don't ever practice tackling full speed. Now, Brian Kelly said there were 34 missed tackles for a total of 288 yards after contact for Ole Miss the other night. That's awful and horrendous and inexcusable and all that stuff. But that's why I would say, outside of the context of just the game on Saturday, it's a much bigger picture issue and question about tackling, I think, in football. Tony Cortell, I would like to thank Alvin Kamara for putting the whole Saints organization on notice that things have to change. DA and Pete Carmichael are in over their heads, and having a team leader speak up was needed. I agree, it was after one game back. For those that missed it, Kamara said, we got to change something because I don't like losing. It's true. I mean, you're now 2 years in offensive ineptitude. You averaged 19 points a game last year. It's the first time that had happened in a season since Sean Payton took over in 2006. And right now you're averaging 15 points a game. So you keep getting worse, actually. Michael Cook, Lowell Cormier, Craig Duke, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are roughly a month away from the big show, basketball school now. Hunter Eilers, do you know what the LSU wide receiver room will look like next season? Well, you're going to lose Malik Neighbors, and the way Brian Thomas is playing, it's impossible to imagine him being back either. You've got a really talented freshman class that came in that I'm very excited about, from Shelton Sampson and Jalen Brown. Why can I never remember that kid's name? We joked about this so much in fall camp because I can never remember this kid's name. Who's the kid from? So there's Jalen Brown wears 14, and who's the kid who wears 12? I'm laughing that I cannot remember this kid's name. Watch him end up being like the greatest receiver in LSU history, and I just cannot remember his name. Kyle Parker. Anyway, I just know numbers because when you're at practice in fall camp, you don't know. Like, so many people change numbers, so when you're charting feverishly and taking notes, you're just writing down jersey numbers. So it's like 14, 12, 6. You just learn the jersey numbers. Anyway, Kyle Parker. They got good young receivers. Hey, Brad David, Brian Wynn, Barry Joslin, Landon Miller, Wendell Norman. Good morning, y'all. Brad, let's see. Does Pete Carmichael not want to be a head coach, or was he never interviewed? It makes sense now that the Saints' offense success was all Breeze and Peyton and not Pete. I think I don't think Pete Carmichael ever got an interview for a head coaching job. It's not to say he doesn't want to be a head coach, but I don't think anyone ever thought that the Saints' offensive success was Pete Carmichael. It was Peyton and Breeze. The hope was that Pete Carmichael, as a trusted lieutenant, had enough, experience offensively and was offering enough input that when he got to run the show, he'd be successful. And there was some reason to believe that. Listen, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Look, Pete called plays, was the primary play caller 3 times, including 2012, the Bounty Gate year. And all 3 of those seasons, when Pete Carmichael was the primary play caller, The Saints had a top, I think the lowest they were was 6th offensively. So he's done it before and done it successfully before. But I guess there's a big difference when you're calling plays with Sean Payton right next to you and when you are running the show. Jay Geiger, Barry Joslin, what's up, Joey B19? Tired of people saying youth and talent are the issue on defense when we have future NFL players like Smith, Perkins, Harris, Wingo Weeks. So, Joey B19, they are playing some young players, and there are definitely spots where they are talent deficient. Safety, namely. None of those safeties are playing at the next level. But, and this is where I would agree with you, there is still zero excuse for being in the triple digits in every significant defensive category. You have enough talent to not be one of the worst defenses in all of college football. That much we completely agree on. So I'll go back to the thing that I said, like, look, Zy Alexander, Denver Harris, Deuce Chestnut, whatever combination, LaTerrence Welch, Ashton Stamps, none of those guys are Derek Stingley, Christian Fulton, Patrick Peterson, Morris Claiborne, Eli Ricks, Dwight McGlothern. None of them are as good as any of the guys I just mentioned. Tre'Davious White, Dante Jackson, like none of them are that good. Greedy Williams. So yes, you are talent deficient. Your safety play is atrocious. Think about the name of the position, safety. And then look at how many big play touchdowns you've given up. So yes, you are talent deficient in spots. But even in spite of that, you still shouldn't be one of the worst defenses in college football. That we agree on. Brian Wynn, glad he's back. But will LSU ever let Pete Jenkins retire? Pete don't want to retire, Brian. I talked to Coach Pete. So Coach Pete lives in Destin. And he never wants to fully retire. Like, he loves to coach and he loves to live in Destin and he loves being on the water and he's got his house there. But every spring he travels around. It's like it keeps him moving. He feels young. He loves the game. So, like, he could have said no. He don't want to just sit around and do nothing. He wants to stay around the game. Now, I don't think he wants to be in the day-to-day grind, Zachary Snyder, good morning. Watched old Big Cat drill videos yesterday. Need that intensity back on defense again. I don't think they need Big Cat drills, but I understand your point. Brad David, how far in advance do you know what question you will ask at the Monday press conference? I don't know. Usually driving over there, I'll turn my radio off and then just think about what I want to ask and I'll formulate it a certain way. And I'll usually have 5 or 6 questions, and sometimes by the time the mic gets to you, some of the things I wanted to ask have already been asked. So, Matt Plavidal, good morning. People can't keep their word anymore. Supposed to drive to Brobridge to buy a car. Guy won't respond. Sorry, man. Happens. People get in their own stuff, man. Casey Williams, good morning, Matt. Glad you called out Kelly on AFR about the guys on defense being young. Well, here's the thing. So it was a big theme of Brian Kelly's press conference yesterday, was him talking about their youth and inexperience. And I did ask him in the press conference, and the way I phrased it was, you had a lot of new players a year ago via the portal, and you had some success. Why isn't the message taking this year? And then he kind of clapped back. He wasn't rude about it, but he was firm. And he said, I thought I made it clear that these are young players. Whereas a year ago we had Micah Baskerville, and this year it's freshman Whit Weeks. And a year ago it was, and now you have a freshman corner in Ashton Stamps, and a year ago it was a fifth-year corner in Jarpin or Converse. But that's not exactly true. And that's where I called him on it. Because Zy Alexander so anyway, yesterday on AFR, I went through all of the transfers, from Zy Alexander and Andre Sam Ovia Gofu and Braden Swinson and Jordan Jefferson and Omar Spates and all the games they have the total games they've played in college. And the fewest games any of these transfers have played is like Deuce Chestnut with 28. So the inexperienced line is just bogus. But I understand that he's trying to defend his players. He's not trying, but he's half pregnant on that defense. Because if he was really defending his players, he should say, it's on us. We've got to coach them better. We've got enough talent and experience on this team that we've got to coach them better, and we're not doing it. That's what he should have said if he was trying to defend his players. But instead, the answer was, well, we get youth and experience, and we got to play better. We got to coach them better. And he's kind of like right in the middle of it, which isn't wrong. They do have talent deficiencies, and there are some young guys playing out there, and they do have to coach them better. But at the same time, if you're trying to tell me that it's a lack of experience, that's a fallacy. You've got tons of experience. That's why you went into the portal and had 10 guys on the defensive side of the ball, was to get yourself experience. You just missed on all these guys. They're not good enough. Trivia Carter, Leon Williams. Hang on one second. Sorry. Be right back. Drew's back. Okay. All right, y'all do me a favor, smash that like button if you're there on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. It's always brought to you by Brock. You need orthopedics, go to Brock and your roof, give us a shout. Hudco, got the Hudco link pinned there in the chat. Let's do about 5 more minutes here, y'all. Leon Williams, Barry Joslin, feeling LSU painful realities this week, but asked Jimbo if buying a bunch of 5 stars will automatically result wins. Barry, this is the point that a lot of you missed with that. So I kind of had, if you missed AFR yesterday, I would highly recommend you go back and watch the second segment there. If you're on YouTube, I'm gonna tell you this. Here's what I'll say. This is the segment I did yesterday that all LSU fans need to listen to, but most will not. I'm going to post it here in the chat. It's 9 minutes, and I'm telling you, I'm going to post it right now. It's 9 minutes that's well worth your time. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to, but I think a lot of y'all know why, or you listen, you understand that I never want to be breaking news guy, but suffice to say that I stay plugged in. And the point, so I did a segment yesterday where I kind of explained the NIL issues that LSU has and how Kelly's building the roster and what needs to change. And the point with Jimbo is A&M did it wrong. A&M spent a ton of money and they bought a bunch of high school players. And they had the greatest high school class ever. The problem with that is you had this expectation for an immediate success, but all those guys are freshmen. And after 1 year, half that class left. you wasted a lot of money. Now, a lot of those guys stayed, and some are really good players right now on this team at A&M, which is playing pretty well. But the real way to success is build through the high school ranks and supplement with the top of the portal. How did programs like Texas, Florida State, Miami, USC all of a sudden get very good overnight? They bought the top of the portal. Now, someone just said A&M looks good right now. They do look good right now. But it's taken them 3 years of those recruiting classes and those guys developing. But if you want to do it now, you're not going to do it through the high school ranks. If you want LSU's defense next year to be awesome again, then you have to go get the best players in the portal. LSU tried to do that this year, and they got outbid by Florida State for Braden Fisk, Fentrell Cypress, and because they knew they needed corners and defensive linemen. Look at who they took. They took 4 corners and 4 defensive linemen. So if you include Jefferson, Lee, Shand, Agofu, Swinson, 5 defensive linemen, include the Jacks. I mean, and they tried to get Fisk, went to Florida State. They tried to get Cypress, went to Florida State. They paid him more. How different is LSU with a true lockdown corner in Fentrell Cypress and a dominant interior player in Braden Fisk? How different is the defense? Let's see. Taz, good morning. It's easy to blame Carr when our OC is a dumpster juice. Every play call is 20-plus or deep shots all game. Taz, P. Carmichael stinks. I'm not defending P. Carmichael. But an elite quarterback elevates his offense. Derek Carr does not do that. He has never done that. You've got a 10-year sample size of him in the NFL that suggests he's not that guy. That's the point I have made and will continue to make. I'm not telling you that Derek Carr is a terrible quarterback. I'm just telling you Derek Carr is not a championship quarterback. And if that's what you want to be, if you want to win championships, you're not going to do it with Derek Carr. Let's see. Michael Joseph Cephalou, what's going on? Dustin Jenkins. Craig Duga has happy whiskey hunting season's going. Thank you, Craig. Charlie Cavelli think Perkins enters the portal. He would have last year, but there were NIL folks that stepped up to keep him here. Stanley Reed, there was an SEC team that was coming in hot for Perkins and for Emory Jones and Will Campbell. But Jones and Campbell bleed LSU. They're not leaving. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, true to the core LSU Tigers, and Harold Perkins got what he needed to stay. Jamie Leday, Dylan Hess, tell me something good. That was pretty good yesterday. I enjoyed it. Let's see. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. I got to go. Ransom Antoine, how many times will Jameis Winston let them slap him in the face? I don't know. I think if he had a better offer, he'd be starting somewhere, but he doesn't, so he isn't. Bradley and Graffia, good morning. Pizza Boy, the Jedi, good morning. Ryan Slayton, good morning. Ken Martin. Matt Kelly did say at the beginning of the season, this is not the year they win it all. He did say next year will be the year. That's not what he said. What he says is he needs another year of recruiting to be championship caliber. And if you believe that defense is one recruiting class away from being championship caliber, then I got some oceanfront property in Idaho I'd like to sell you. You have to hit in the portal. It's what you did a year ago. You hit with Mekhi Gardner and Jark Bernard-Converse and Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché. You hit on all those guys. This year, you missed with Denver Harris and J.K. and Andre Sam and Zy Alexander and all the transfers you brought in. Oh, who would you rather right now? Omar Spates, the fifth-year senior, or Whit Weeks, the true freshman? You missed. You hit in the portal last year. You missed in the portal this year. Jeff Hawk, good morning, my dude. Dalton Barnett, good morning. Obvious artists. Sean didn't try to take Pete, enough said. There's some truth to that. Tim Gotro, Kevin Tate. Let me see if I can get one more. Anthony Gillespie listening from Destin right now. Home of Pete Jenkins. Kevin Tate, what does Pete do for the defensive backfield? Well, Kevin, I understand your question, but the truth is there should be a symbiotic relationship, right? If your defensive front seven stops the run and pressures the quarterback, that helps the defensive backfield. Okay. Tiger Diver, Gorilla. Micah 504 missed the days of LSU having interior guys on defense. The shame is they should. You got Mason Smith. You got Mekhi Wingo, who was a third-team All-American a year ago. Jordan Jefferson has played well. Jacoby Guillory is a fourth-year guy who's 330 pounds and is a space eater that can also make plays. Like, you should be better than you are. You should be. All right, y'all. I think we're done. Oh, it's 8:02. I got to go. All right, thanks so much for watching. LSU Daily is already live. Please, on your favorite podcast app, just search LSU Daily. Subscribe up. I'd appreciate that. And AFR3, y'all have an awesome day. We'll see you. Peace.